When WJZ viewers saw freezing children and broken down city classrooms, many asked what happened to all the casino money that was supposed to help the schools. Many of you voted to legalize gambling after being swayed by the casino campaign. This morning, WJZ investigates. Denise Koch explains why some people are determined to right a wrong.
It'll generate hundreds of millions for schools.
We'll lose hundreds of millions for our schools.
As governor, I can promise you that money will go to education.
We all remember them. Emotional, dramatic commercials, first in 2008, then again 2012, appealing to voters to approve gambling in Maryland because it would mean millions in additional money for Maryland school children.
And with independent audits required by law, Question 7 means millions for Maryland schools, guaranteed.
Slots for Tots, it was called, and it passed. But Comptroller Francho, a target of the gaming industry, was a vocal opponent.
The problem is that it was always a hoax, and it continues to be a hoax, perpetrated on the public.
A hoax because our WJZ investigation reveals, and what most Marylanders did not and do not realize, is hidden in the language of the law. The gambling money funds but does not add to the state's education budget.
The voters thought that they were voting for this totally new pot of money for education, and they didn't get it.
And it didn't raise the bottom line for education.
No.
To illustrate, these blue chips represent the money the state spends on our schools. These red chips, the money the casinos put into the Education Trust Fund. Well, once that money is added, the state can just take that amount and put it in the general fund. The budget doesn't change, the pot doesn't grow, no additional money.
If we didn't have a single casino, we would be spending exactly the same amount of money.
And we are talking a lot of money, close to $2 billion since slots were legalized. Meanwhile, children freezing classrooms, schools closed because of broken furnaces, faulty heating systems. Districts struggle with inadequate budgets, and our newsroom is inundated with emails and phone calls from frustrated voters asking, what about the casino money?
How come it's not coming to our schools?
That very question led veteran delegate Maggie McIntosh to get her staff to take a close look at the law. Guess what she found?
Lo and behold, the language did lead you to believe you were voting for new additional funding.
And that revelation has McIntosh and Senator Joan Carter Conway co-sponsoring a bill to protect the Education Trust Fund money and to make sure in the future those millions become an additional source of money for our schools, our children.
Over a period of 4 years, we are going to increasingly make it 25%, 50, 75, and then 100% supplemental on top of the formula.
Do you think this will pass?
Yes.
All right, Denise, let's talk about this legislation because there was an update this week.
That's right. This week, Senator McIntosh and Senator Conway, they made a public announcement that they were going to try and push this bill across. They feel quite confident that this will pass because, number one, they had so many other senators, lawmakers calling them saying, we'd like to co-sign, we'd like to co-sign. The governor has given us a statement that leads us to believe that he will sign it. Basically, what this bill will do is two things. The first, they talk about a lockbox. What that means is, by law, in the past, the casinos, the portion of the slot money the casinos had to pay into the Education Trust Fund has fluctuated from year to year. Some years goes down. This lockbox, in theory, will stop that. They will set a percentage, and that will sit, and that's what they'll have to pay. The second thing it will do, and this is the most critical thing, is that we'll say that any money that goes into that Education Trust Fund is on top of the state's education budget. So for the first time ever, if this passes, there will actually be additional money for the schools, and it will come from the casinos and come from the slots.
A lot of people will be shocked at how this has been working in terms of it not.
We were shocked.
Yes, that it wasn't extra money that we all thought it was.
That was, I think that was the impression. But written very subtly in the way that the law was written, that was not the case. So if you say, well, we thought the money was going to the education. Yes, it was going to education. But, that's the big thing, but it was not additional money. It was money that supplemented and allowed the state to then take that much out and use elsewhere in the general fund for roads or programs or salaries or whatever was needed.
That is tricky.
Tricky, may be that this finally will be solved.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
Good, because that's where we thought the money was going.
Right.
All right, Denise, thank you so much for the update, and we'll keep following this legislation.
We
to
will
see.
indeed. If it passes, we will let you know.
All right.